Hi everyone, this is Stephen Williford, the Barefoot Defender. Today we have a special guest, Steve Toth from State Representative Steve Toth from around the Houston area, right?
Yeah, just north of the Houston area, up in the woodlands.
Up in the woodlands. So you guys get to know him if he's your state representative. Support this man 110%. You know, he's actually one of our constitutional bulldogs, and I'm glad to have him out here today.
I am so excited about this. You have no idea. I had friends from back in the woodlands in Conroe that have said, "Oh God, can I come with you out and come hang out with Stephen?" So I'm really excited about this.
Well, it is an honor to get to know some of our representatives, some of the good men and women that are actually out there trying to fight for our Constitution, trying to fight for our rights. And today we'll sit down and we'll talk to him a little bit about his upcoming bill in this session.
But then you're going to embarrass me on the range here.
Oh no, you're going to be doing all the shooting. So
that's even more embarrassing.
we're gonna start out, and we're gonna shoot some really fun stuff today. We're gonna start out with this rifle here, and it's got a good Texas theme.
Look at that, man. That is gorgeous.
This was actually put together by a man named Steve Oliver. He's in the Houston area, and he put this rifle together for me. And
that is so sweet.
Had it Cerakoted to be a Texas flag, and I think it represents Texas well. Without any further ado, we're gonna load this thing up. We're gonna do a little shooting, and then we're gonna show you the difference between a suppressed rifle and an unsuppressed. This one's unsuppressed. I just unboxed this earlier. It's a Springfield Armory XDM Elite Ops. It comes with a threaded barrel, so you can use a suppressor on it. And it comes with high sights to get above the suppressor. It also is milled in so that you can put a red dot sight on it if you choose to. But we unboxed it and decided we'd bring that to the range today and screw a suppressor on it and have some fun. All
right. That shocked the heck out of me.
Huh?
It shocked the heck out of me that I hit it.
Roll on. Roll on, brother. You're doing good.
Wow. What an awesome platform this is. This thing is incredible.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Jeepers creepers. I'd pay, this is priceless. This is beautiful, Stephen. Man, oh my goodness, that is gorgeous.
So, I guess we want to move back and give ourselves time to talk. We've shot various things. Give us time to talk about the bill. Today, I want to talk to you about House Bill 112.
Right.
And how you came up with it originally.
Yeah, so it was December 2012, right after Sandy Hook. that Barack Obama said, we're coming after your weapons. And he said weapons. And we're coming after large clips, magazines, and we're going to make sure that law enforcement, local law enforcement, is tasked with taking those guns away from you. And we said, no, you're not. And so we came up with the Firearms Defense Act, and it was a different House bill then, but that was my freshman year too, which is hard too, because freshmen never pass anything, but we passed it out of the Texas House with 2/3 support.
Amazing. That's very cool.
Yeah. Yep. We couldn't get it through the Senate. The Senate was much more liberal then, but I think this time around, I think we've got a good Senate. Brandon Creighton is a great senator, and I think he'll carry it for us over, or Bob Hall over in the Senate.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, Bob or Brandon.
Well, very good. Those guys, give them a big kudos. We need to now make sure that we call our state representatives and our senators, state senators. We need to call Greg Abbott and also Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor. We need to get them on board. This is a coming thing. We need to push for this and make it a happening thing.
So one of the blessings about the bill the first time that we passed it was that we had a lot of state reps that were getting a lot of pressure from around the country, and it was a top of mind issue at that time, simply because the president had taken a strong stance against the Second Amendment. And this isn't just about ARs. They're coming after everything. Anything that's semi-automatic, they're coming after it. So the reality is that we need all of you to call your state representative and ask for them to support this bill.
And I want to ask you a few questions about it because,
Sure.
Our listeners, people that watch this will be really interested to know because there have been similar bills passed. I think it was Montana, I'm not sure, passed one on short-barreled rifles to legalize short-barreled rifles. And they passed it and signed it into law.
Right.
And but they couldn't stop the ATF raiding the men that were building the short-barreled rifles. And they raided them and shut them down and put them in jail. What's going to give this bill teeth?
So if the ATF comes into Texas, there's nothing we can do when the ATF comes in surprises someone and raids their shop. However, the purpose of this bill is to make sure that local law enforcement, your county sheriff and your police department, that they do not use Texas paid taxpayers' money to come and take our weapons. They're not, the ATF can't come into Texas and take everyone's AR. They can't come into Texas and take everyone's gun. They need local law enforcement to do that. And what this bill does is it says that as local law enforcement, you are not allowed to abide by the whims of the federal government that infringe on our Second Amendment. They're not allowed to, and it's Class A misdemeanor if they do. The reason we want to do this is so that they have the means by which to say to the federal government, look, I'm just obeying state law. And state law says if I go and touch that guy's AR-15, I'm going to jail, which means I can't follow that federal mandate that you've put in place. And they will. They'll do it through an executive order if they can't get it past the House and the Senate.
Oh, absolutely. So what's it going to mean to, first, I guess, our licensed firearms dealers, FFLs? Federal firearms dealers, as far as them selling an AR-15 to the general public? What does that mean to them?
The FFL, we can't do anything about the FFL in Texas. And the reality is that the only time that is going to change is if Texas goes its own way at some point.
So what if they ban people, like Double T Tactical that sells...
They want to manufacture their own.
Well, that sells AR-15s.
Right.
And if the law says you cannot sell them.
It's a state law, and so they can follow a state law. That will put their FFL in jeopardy. That's, again, there's nothing we can do about what they do at the federal level.
Okay, so what about Sons of Liberty or say Radical Firearms that produce AR-15s for sale to the general public? Will they still be able to produce AR-15s? And if so, because Sons of Liberty doesn't produce all of its parts. It orders other parts, some of the finest parts out there, and uses them to manufacture
Right.
AR-15s. How will that work for Sons of Liberty?
So this bill, the only thing it does, it's structured towards local law enforcement. It really doesn't do anything for manufacturers in the state of Texas. That's another hurdle that we're going to have to cross with another bill. And you can't, the way Texas is set up and the way we do legislation, we can't add that component to this bill because it wouldn't be germane. This really only deals with local law enforcement, and it's what's known as nullification or interposition. We're asking them not to abide by federal law.
I'm going to say that we now have Colorado and California and Oregon that have basically made drugs legal.
Right.
That would normally be illegal. Federal law says they're illegal, and these states have stepped up and said these drugs are legal now. And our feds have chosen not to enforce anything.
Right. It's the same thing with immigration, right? We've got sanctuary cities around the United States that they nullify or interpose federal law. They're disobeying the federal government. And the liberals have been using this for years.
And yet, those aren't items, that are protected by our Constitution.
They're not.
And yet, firearms are.
Firearms are.
And so, it's kind of ironic that they're turning around and making drugs legal, and the feds are not enforcing any of that, and they're just turning their backs.
Stephen, that has been my argument forever, which is when it comes to abortion and it comes to our firearms, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among those is life, right? The first is life, and yet we won't defend the rights of the unborn when that's a God-given right, and yet we will, for whatever reason, we won't go after the left and the fact that they nullify and interpose over drugs and illegal immigration.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, and again, the Second Amendment is, guns are protected by the Second Amendment, and it says shall not be infringed. And I even heard a guy from France tell me, well, it's to protect a militia. Unless you have read the whole thing, and unless you have read the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers to really know what the intent, and it says the right of the people shall not be infringed. We are the people,
right?
And we are the militia, if you will.
Yeah, that's just the craziest talk. The Federalist Papers are basically a commentary on the Constitution, and it helps us understand what the intent, what the legislative and legal intent was when they were drafted. And the whole idea was that the Second Amendment exists to protect the First Amendment. The Second Amendment exists to prevent us and to prevent an out-of-control tyrannical government from existing. Freedom, liberty, is not something that's inherent in human nature. In 5,000 years of recorded history, nations like the United States that enjoy liberty and freedom, we're the outliers. We're the small minority of societies that have existed over 5,000 years of recorded history. All the other societies existed in tyranny, in bondage. That's the Adamic nature of man, is to enslave other men.
Chris Byrd wrote a book, and the subtitle of the book was, "When Seconds Count, the Police Are Only Minutes Away." and I think that is a really important statement. The police were 5 to 7 minutes behind me on November 5th.
Right.
And just like you said, we have the obligation and the duty to protect not only our own families, but our communities.
Amen. Amen. And we as a state and as a nation are so appreciative of you, Stephen, that you were willing to step up and remind us of what our responsibility is towards one another.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm that different than a lot of people. I think there was I was just put in that place for that moment.
Yep. You were. You absolutely were. Absolutely.
I guess now's a good place to mention that the ammunition today that we shot was supplied to us by True Ballistics. Go find them at trueballistics.com. They're a good Texas company, another good Texas company.
It's fun to support Texas companies. It
Oh,
really
absolutely. They're from Kennedy, Texas.
Oh, very good.
I know Dell real well. He's a good man, and he cranks out as much ammo as he gets enough raw material to do it. It's time that we start.
Yeah. Taking care of our own.
Taking care of our own, you know. I've mentioned Sons of Liberty. I've mentioned Radical Firearms. Mossberg's built here, and LaRue is built in Austin. So we have a lot of good manufacturers and stuff. Hopefully that doesn't go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they do a lot for our communities too.
Good.
Anything you want? Any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just so appreciative of you and in the fact that we need your help. We need your help to preserve liberty in Texas and in the United States. And we need your help passing this bill this session too. And anything you can do to get the word out to Texas that we're going to need you to come to the Capitol and speak on behalf of this bill.
This bill absolutely needs to go right along with constitutional carry also. Yep. And we'll do more about that at a later date maybe. But
you're on.
This bill is really, really important, guys. If you don't know who your representative is, mine's John Kemple, and I'm throwing down right now, John. I know you'll hear about this, but I'm asking John Kemple to support this bill.
John is awesome, and I just saw him yesterday. He's a real patriot, and I know he'll support us like he did last time.
And Judah Zaffarini. Judah Zaffarini's my senator, and she needs to know that I am all for this bill in the Senate, and I'm letting her know straight up front. I want you to support this bill. I'll call you.
We'll talk.
We'll talk. Yeah. So anyway, from the Barefoot Defender, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our station.